Hey guys, this is Bobby Black from the Unscored Circle, bringing you the true face of pro wrestling, bringing you this week's Smackdown review, also in collaboration with WrestlingRevolution.com, the epic center for all of your wrestling needs. If you haven't been there, go there. We've got contest forums, you've heard the spiel, go there. It's a wrestling community outside of the YWC, and we are awesome. So, if you want free stuff and cool prizes and interaction, go there. Details are there. Anyway, I'd like to thank my new subscribers, which is King Tim UK and Second City Savior 11. I'd also like to thank all the people who left comments on both my breaking news last week on the releases and my review last week. I kind of lumped them all together. I didn't really, separate them out. Classic 1333, Metallica 2444266, Second City Savior 11. I'm guessing, yeah. RK Owned You, the Bardia, which is 23, the Zamario, Largest 85, Howard the Man, Andy Sutton, and Johnny Awesome 24. Thank all of you guys for leaving comments on last week's vids. I may try to do 2 a week. I don't know. It's one thing I've been bouncing around that I have to let you guys know about is I've been really bouncing around taking a break from everything. From YouTube, and trust me, I'm not doing like the retirement. I'm not like D-Jose announcing my retirement for the 4th time. I might be taking a break. I probably will do my weekly SmackDown reviews, but with the site Wrestling Revolution, I'll be there. I just won't be updating the news all the time and stuff like that. There are going to be other people who do that. I'll probably join in the chats and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of taking a breather. I might do these reviews only because they're once a week and they're very easy. So, and I watch SmackDown anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But if I miss a SmackDown here and there, you'll know why, because I'm just taking a breather. And I will definitely be back in full swing by Bound for Glory in mid-October when pay-per-view prediction contest season 4 starts. Alright, well, enough of that babble, sorry. Let's jump into SmackDown.
Get ready for the Smackdown! Get ready for the Smackdown! How you gonna react when you're put in the back now? 'Cause there's no turning back when you're facing the Smackdown!
This week's SmackDown is in Sacramento, California. We start off with an in-ring promo with Triple H, and he basically loves his job, I guess. He says that he loves what he does. There's a line a mile long outside his office door, and he puts over basically him doing his job. Surprise. He sets up matches for tonight, which would be Zeke versus Cody Rhodes, Daniel Bryan versus Alberto Del Rio, and Randy Orton versus the Great Khali. And just as he was going to announce the Christian match, Christian comes out and to a decent pop, actually. For a guy who's a heel, he actually gets a decent pop. Christian says that he's going to sue the WWE. He's going to sue the fans. Anyone who watches SummerSlam, he's going to sue them. He's going to sue, just like Word Yankovic. He's going to sue Panasonic because they never said that they couldn't use their microwave to dry off his cat. Anyway, so Triple H says that that if he doesn't show up for SummerSlam and if he tries to sue and all this other stuff, he'll be in breach of contract, and he will do in breach of contract the easiest thing, which is fire Christian. However, he doesn't want to do that. He says that he respects Randy Orton. He doesn't like him, and Christian wants to know why. Why if he doesn't like Randy Orton at all, why is he doing Randy Orton favors? And he's saying, I don't like the guy, but I respect him, which I don't know why, because I don't really respect him too much behind the scenes. So anyway, he complains, and Christian complains and wise. I think this is a really weak move on Christian's heel turn. I just don't think this really works very well. But in the end, Triple H says, oh, by the way, the match you're going to be in tonight is you're going to be facing this guy. And Sheamus comes out, and that leads us into the first match of the night, which is Christian versus Sheamus, which was an okay match. I gave it 2 out of 5 Black Rangers. This was a good match up until the end. Like, it was a good build to a good match. If they would have given this match 5 more minutes and these guys would have kept on going, and, you know, but in the end, Christian, as I said, after a decent match, Christian walked out and got counted out. And it's just like, really? You're going to do this again? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, they're terribly weakening his heel stint here. I mean, cheat to win, not leave. You know, I don't know. I just, the WWE and their heel persona is kind of weak in my opinion with this. So I gave it 2 out of 5. It wasn't a bad match at all until the end. It would have gotten a 3 or maybe a 4 if it would have continued, but a very weak ending. So, and there was barely a middle. Second match of the night, which is Beth Phoenix Beth Phoenix and Natalya, the Divas of Doom, which I think they could use a better name than that, versus AJ and Caitlyn. I gave this 3 out of 5 Pink Rangers. It wasn't a long match, but Natalya and Beth Phoenix really worked this match well and worked with AJ and Caitlyn well, and they basically beat the crap out of these girls. And you know, Natalya and Caitlyn started off and they were doing a little bit of grappling wrestling, and in the end, AJ and Beth Phoenix were in the ring, and Beth reversed something into a glam slam and pinned AJ. Then afterward, Natalya hit the sharpshooter on AJ and made her tap out and scream in agony. Or maybe it was Caitlyn. Maybe it was Caitlyn who was in the sharpshooter. But either way, they were screaming in agony. Divas of Doom on top. Love it. Alright, next up we have a backstage segment with Teddy Long and Zack Ryder. Priceless comes in and they want to thank Zack Ryder for setting up the Intercontinental title match tonight between Cody Rhodes and Ezekiel Jackson. And Teddy Long says, you really don't have to thank Zack Ryder for that. That wasn't him. And then he gets interrupted. And he excuses the Priceless and Zack Ryder. And Oksana walks in. And the sexy music starts. And it leads to Teddy Long running like a little girl. So this was a worthless promo. I think this is a dumb idea. Another whole tempting Teddy thing. It never works. Next we have a decent video package of Mark Henry and the destruction he's laid, although they're kind of overdoing the whole video package on him. They need to do video packages on other people besides Mark Henry. Next up we have the backstage segment with Johnny Curtis and Mark Henry, where Johnny Curtis is getting ready and Mark Henry walks in and says, oh, I'm really sorry, you know, to hear about your bad luck and whatever else he's saying. And you know, Curtis is like, what are you talking about? And Mark Henry's like, oh, well, you know, it's going to be the first time where somebody's career begins and ends in the same night, because you're facing me tonight. And then I love it. And then Mark Henry says that he loves Johnny Curtis's play on words every week that he does, and he said, well, here's one for you. Tonight, break a leg. I was like, that's awesome. So anyway, it was an okay segment. I think that was probably the only Johnny Curtis segment I actually enjoyed. So it actually made all those other corny segments worth it when Mark Henry told him to break a leg. Third match of the night, which is Sin Cara 2.0 versus Tyson Kidd. And as everybody knows, Sin Cara, Mystico, who was Sin Cara, has pretty much been released by the company, so I don't remember who's under the mask now, but it's definitely somebody different because the body type is completely different. They even make mention of how Sin Cara looks like he put on more weight or more muscle, and a totally different moveset in the match. I mean, the commentators even made mention of it, so I don't like the new guy. I'm just going to say that right up front. Watching this guy, maybe he's just not used to the WWE style. I don't know. I don't like him. You know, I think they should have just gotten rid of the. It's like you can't pull a suicide here. You can't just change who's under the mask. Really, you can't. I mean, and this other guy is, you know, wrestling a totally different style than Sin Cara 1.0, Mystico. So I just think they should have just dumped the Sin Cara character and did something new with this other guy. I think it was like Hamito or something. I can't remember his name. I thought it started with an H. Anyway, so I gave this match 1 out of 5 Yellow Rangers. It was sloppy. It was crazy. Tyson Kidd had a hard time working with this guy. I don't think it was Tyson Kidd's fault at all. This guy was just so rusty, and he had just a totally different moveset, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. And was the match okay? Yeah, the match was okay, but just this new Sin Cara rubs me the wrong way. So I give it 1 out of 5. You guys may disagree with me. That's fine. Put it in the comment box. I'd love to hear back from you guys. In the end, though, Sin Cara 2.0 does a springboard senton to the inside onto Tyson Kidd, then hits an Asahi moonsault. Like, right, he jumps up, does an Asahi moonsault, and gets the thread Tyson Kidd. So, I mean, as I said, you got a totally different finisher, totally different signature, totally different moveset. So this really hurt tonight, just so you guys know. Daniel Bryan taking fourth match of the night, which is Daniel Bryan versus ADR. I gave this 2 out of 5 Red Rangers. It was an okay match, but it would have been better if it had a little bit more time. These two guys were barely getting into it when Daniel Bryan apparently hurt his shoulder on the outside when he did a suicide dive, and then ADR eventually hit the cross arm breaker and got the submission win. And I don't understand why they are burying. I mean, you can't. I don't want to say they're burying Daniel Bryan, but they really. I mean, there was no interference, no nothing. It was just, Brutus Clay didn't even come back and try to help ADR out. I mean, it was just ADR just beat him. So I think that kind of hurt Daniel Bryan's small little push he's got going. Afterward, Wade Barrett comes out in Wastelands. Daniel Bryan even further burying. Well, I don't want to say further burying. Further continuing their feud, and apparently they're going to have Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett are going to have a match at SummerSlam. So kind of stoked for that one. I think it'll be good. I still wish it was Sheamus and Wade Barrett. I think that match would have been 20 times better than Sheamus versus Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan versus Wade Barrett. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Alright, so we move on to the 5th match of the night, which is the Intercontinental title match of the night. I gave this 3 out of 5 White Rangers. This was a very, very good match. Well, I don't want to say it was a decent match. I'm just ecstatic that Cody Rhodes finally won a singles championship. He has earned it for a while. But Cody Rhodes starts off this match by playing cat and mouse with Big Zeke because he can't do anything. I mean, Cody Rhodes is a small guy. He's an agile guy and a small guy, so he's got to play cat and mouse with Big Zeke, who's almost or over 300-pound monster. These two guys worked really well together, but in the end, Cody Rhodes hit a beautiful disaster and then hit the crossroads for the win. So, and I know there was a little interference by Ted DiBiase in there, but Cody Rhodes is your Intercontinental Champion. He finally gets his singles title. So, I'm happy for this. I hope they do wonders with Cody Rhodes with this. Not that Big Zeke was a terrible champion, but he was kind of like a lame duck champion. He just was kind of champ to be champ. They needed to get the belt off of Barrett so that a heel could win the belt, and that would be Cody. So, sorry Zeke, maybe your next run will be better. Afterward, Big Zeke then basically, they bag Big Zeke, they put the bag on Big Zeke's head, and then Big Zeke destroys Ted DiBiase. So I'm guessing this is going to be where the dissension between Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase is going to start. Which is kind of hinted there, but not anything major. Next, we go to a backstage promo with Randy Orton, and he talks about his anger management. Again. 6th match of the night, which is Mark Henry versus Johnny Curtis. I gave it 2 out of 5 Alpha 5s. Johnny Curtis did okay for a squash. I mean, if they were going to debut this guy, I kind of wish they would have done something better with him. But I just think after, if they were just to debut him after a week of promos or 2 weeks of promos, that would have been fine. But they've been building this guy for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So, I don't know. I wish they would have done a little bit more with him instead of letting Mark Henry squash it. But there's a little bit of story behind it. In the end, obviously in the end, which is towards the beginning, Mark Henry hits the World's Strongest Slam on Johnny Curtis and gets the pin. Mark Henry goes to injure his leg, and then Sheamus comes out with the steel chair, and he just basically eggs Mark Henry on, trying to get him in the ring, and Mark Henry basically backs off and says, this Sunday, whatever, basically doing the heel thing and turning and putting it off, I guess. There was one quote that Sheamus did say that I thought was funny, that he said, in reference to Mark Henry, he called him Shamu needs to roll into this ocean, which was the ring, and face this great white. And I found it funny that he would refer to himself as great white. Sam's probably peeing himself right now. Okay, so 7th match of the night, believe it or not, 7 matches, which was Randy Orton versus the Great Khali. I gave this 3 out of 5 Grey Rangers. I have to take my hat off to anyone who can make the Great Khali look decent in a match. And he did. Randy Orton made the Great Khali look decent in this match. 2 weeks in a row that the Great Khali's worked with somebody who can actually put him over. And I know the Great Khali's hard to work with. So, there's actually some decent back and forth in this match. I like the one spot where Orton hit Khali with a nice DDT, and just it looked like all of Khali's weight just went on his head. Like it looked like a real DDT, not like, you know, the staged one. But anyway, there was one spot where Khali reversed the RKO into a vice grip, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was a great spot. You know, he went up to grab him, and then Khali just vice gripped his head. But in the end, Orton hit an RKO and the 3 count. So, we all knew Orton was going to win, but it was nice to see Khali going out there. Afterward, Christian comes out and he says that at SummerSlam he's got the best thing going. I was hoping he would say, at SummerSlam I've got the edge. You know, the edge over you, or the edge on you, or he would say, like, you know, I've got the edge on you since Edge is going to be there. I'm hilarious. What did I give the night as a whole? I gave it 3 out of 5 Blue Rangers. One of the things that killed it was the crappy end to the opening bout, which was Sheamus and Christian. And then Sin Cara 2.0 versus Tyson Kidd just rubbed me the real wrong way. Daniel Bryan and ADR just kind of was like, eh. Most of the matches tonight were decent. Some of the endings were kind of, and for the most part, most of the promos were okay. The Orton thing and anger management's getting really old. It was about an average night of SmackDown, maybe a little bit below average, but not enough for me to make it a 2. Anyway, I'm Bobby Black from the Discord Circle. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and go to WrestlingRevolution.com. I'm out.